All right, hello and welcome to the Ventures Podcast. I'm continuing my product and code series here across Web 2 and Web 3. Today is a big day. Chat GPT has been massively upgraded. OpenAI has released GPT-4, much anticipated. Kudos to them for actually shipping around the time that they were anticipating shipping it. So what does this mean? There's no lack of activity happening on Twitter. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. I saw this guy, Ben, watch Greg, the president co-founder of OpenAI here, write code for a Discord bot, debug and read documentation, look at images, describe them in detail, create a website code that works based on a pencil mock-up made in a physical notebook. For those that are just listening on this podcast, I'm actually doing a screencast here. You can click the link in the show notes to watch the screencast. And of course, if you're watching this, you can always switch over to podcast at any time. You can just search for Ventures in your podcast player and it should show up. But yeah, this little like sketch in a notebook is able to be used by GPT-4 to create HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is a really big deal. You can see here across an interface with OpenAI that shows the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript, similar to a lot of these editors that you see out there, the online editors. So yeah, we have our robot AI overlords writing code for us at a more accelerated pace. This is just gonna get more and more advanced as we go here. And then another thing we've seen is this is pretty amazing. I mean, GPT-4 was allowed to see, basically prompted, hey, what's funny about this image? Describe it panel by panel here. And it correctly says the image shows a package for lightning cable. Ultimately, the humor in this image comes from the absurdity of plugging a large, outdated VGA connector into a small, modern smartphone charging port. This is a big deal. Obviously, this tweet from Riley is like, yeah, AGI, artificial general intelligence, is coming. In addition to this very, very sophisticated exam question that GPT-4 apparently absolutely nailed. You get the idea. This is coming. If you're not already playing around with OpenAI's APIs, you probably should be, especially if this is the product side of this podcast. I cannot recommend getting into this. It's very much worth our time to be working on this. All right, so I am going to switch over now to the code part of this podcast. And I have written up actually a 10-part series for those that are ready to dive into it. And I'll put it in the show notes here. Introduction to Git, HTML and embedded Ruby, shell scripting, JavaScript, Rails, Stimulus Reflex and Cable Ready, Redux and React. This whole series is really a comparison of React versus Turbo, which is a HTML over the wire, WebSocket-based way of building reactive websites, these single-page application websites in the modern era. And so for the advanced students listening in on the code side of things, I'll put a link to this. I would highly recommend diving through this. This 10-part series will teach you a ton of material, and I'm constantly improving it. So I welcome any and all feedback. The basic gist of it is a bunch of tutorials like this, which then has code like this for you to put into your files. I did a little bit of this already and earlier in this product and code series. So you'll be able to recap some of that as well. And then the whole thing follows along with GitHub, and you can add commits. And it has commit diffs like this, which I call it the quotes app. And you can see the exact, as it's being built, you can see the exact code that's being put into the code base. All right, that's it for today. Please hit me up if you have any questions. Have a great rest of your week. All right, a couple quick things before you go. Number one, I have a general newsletter where I write about technology and startups and health science and teaching people to code. And I write about a variety of different subjects that we talk about on this show. So if you go to wclittle.com, there you'll be able to subscribe, and you'll also be able to subscribe to particular topics. If you're just interested in one or a few of them, you'll be notified right when I publish new content in those areas. Number two, my partners and I at Proto Ventures have a portfolio company called Startup Rocket. If you go to startuprocket.com, there you'll be able to receive coaching guides and customize an operations framework for you and your team and your advisors to be on the same page in terms of what is the appropriate next step for you and your entrepreneurial journey. And finally, if you wouldn't mind leaving a review anywhere that you have listened to this podcast or watched this podcast, it would be super helpful to help those who might be interested in consuming this content as well. Thank you.